Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode, special episode of Kicks and Curve podcast, a podcast that unites checkered flags and offside flags. After around 3 months of just talking about offside flags, it is time finally to start talking about checkered flags because Formula One is back, baby! I just finished watching the F175 live broadcast happened at the O2 Arena in London. All 10 teams, cars, liveries, all 20 drivers, and one huge event. It's officially 4 a.m. right now, but I kind of wanted to just share my thoughts on the whole event. Um, I think personally I really like this. I think this is how it should be every year, not on such a big level, because I understand that, excuse my cats, I understand that this was like a special thing because it's like 75 years of Formula 1 and all that, but like beats listening to like a 45-minute assortment of like speeches by different people that we don't care about to just get to see the same livery uh, on last year's car, because that's essentially what every car launch is. Um, so that is why I the most liked launch event in the past for me has because they just release a picture from six different angles, and they're like, yeah, the technically sound fans can see what they can in terms of aero and mechanical changes, if they can spot anything, and the rest of us can play spot the difference compared to last year's car on the livery. But yeah, this was entertaining, not particularly on the musical performances and everything. I could not care less. I also did not know anybody. I am somebody who has not updated her like playlist since I think 2015. I think that was when good songs were done for me. So i I literally did not know a single performer that performed in the entire event. So, anyway, starting off, Jack Whitehall, absolutely amazing as the host. Like, he was so funny. He had such a strong start to the event. Made fun of the fact that Max doesn't really like doing these kind of events. He's like a person who likes to drive. Then he was like, at least the good thing is they've not made him sit next to George Russell. So like very topical. He like started off like a true comedian with some light crowd work, warming the crowd to the spectacle that was to follow. Um, so yeah, I think with the exception of like making fun of Mike Crack's name, because it's Mike Crack. Um, I think other than that, the entire event was like wonderfully hosted by Jack. He's also one of my favorite comedians, so I really, really, really was very satisfied with like his performance and like the kind of material that he did, and how he engaged with different people throughout the event. Um, Charles had so many rings on his finger. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him. Like, Charles, I think the most I've seen in terms of accessories on Charles's hands have been like very expensive watches. So, maybe Lewis Hamilton teammate effect rubbing off on him. I don't know. That was funny. It was just, I think, Jack made a joke about Charles is the most handsome driver on the grid, and that his wife thinks about him when they make love, and so does he. So that's when Charles waved, and I was like, two rings. That is two more than what I've seen him wear. Or maybe I haven't, because I usually do not pay attention to such things, but this time they stood out. So maybe I am wrong, but I mean, if you don't know, if you've just come here for football and this is the first Formula One episode that you're listening to, I am now turning from a Mercedes fan to a Ferrari fan. Yes, I am a Lewis Hamilton fan. So wherever Lewis goes, I go. The individual launches, I will go like just over two, three liners of thoughts. The funniest thing was when when there were just three constructors left. um I sort of expected that it was going to be, Ferrari, McLaren, and Red Bull, and then the third last to happen was Red Bull, and I thought, I thought it was going to be. I thought up until then that it was happening in the order of um the constructor championship, and then maybe I thought, oh, like Lewis to Ferrari, maybe that would be the showstopper. When McLaren came on in the end, that was when I remembered that Max only won the driver championship last year. The constructors was won by McLaren, and so my initial thought was right, that the launches happened in the order of constructor championship standings. It's just I had forgotten that McLaren won the championship. This is the craziest part. It just struck me then that, this is so different from, because I think most fans usually care about the driver championship more than, the constructor championship, whereas for the teams, constructor championship is obviously more important, which is so starkly different from football, because like as a Liverpool fan, I'm more concerned about what Liverpool gets as a team, as opposed to, just worrying about whether Salah gets the Ballon d'Or this year. So like, yeah, very, very interesting. So like, there were a bunch of montages sprinkled throughout the event. There was one on the junior formulas and F1 Academy. I think there was one on rivalry. There was one on the F1 movie, and then there was one on just drivers being drivers. And I think the junior academy one was good. I think, but I think all of them were a bit too short, with the exception of the drivers being drivers, kind of, because I think there is enough content on that you could have made it very, very, very long. So I think that was appropriately timed lengthwise, but I think the others could have been a little bit more, because the thing that struck me the most was that the way Jack Whitehall um you know queued it up to happen. It was He was talking about how people have these rivalries. He gave a couple of examples of like taxes and everybody, and I forgot what but the Formula One joke he made was the rivalry is Fernando Alonso against time. So like humor, and then they showed the montage of like big rivalries that we have seen throughout the years of Formula One, and there was Senna, there was Prost, there was Michael Schumacher, there was Mika Hakkinen, there was Niki Lauda, there was James Hunt, there was Max, and there was Lewis. But surprisingly, there was no Sebastian Vettel, there was no Fernando Alonso, which is crazy to me. Like, Fernando Alonso has been a rival to Michael Schumacher, has been a rival to Sebastian Vettel, has been a rival to Lewis Hamilton, and now it's like, I do not understand how you cannot have even a single snippet of like, and how can you even like, how can you not even have Sebastian Vettel? Like, uh it was like really, really weird. It almost felt like, so like, from straight from the Schumacher Hakkinen era, There is no other rivalry to talk about until Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. And I'm like, hold on. Lewis Hamilton has had other rivals. And the Sebastian Vettel, Fernando Alonso, because I think like out of the four championships that Sebastian Vettel won, I think 2011, 2013 were the ones that were like kind of like a dominant, 2013 being one of the most dominant until Max Verstappen's 2023 season. But the 2010 and 2012 championships literally went down to the last race. Like there was a big rivalry between those two. They don't really have to be like at each other's throats or anything, but like it was a fierce battle between them. So I found it like it almost felt like everything after the Schumacher Hakkinen era like just does not matter up until like 2021, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. So that was a bit. I was like, mm, might have might have missed something. The behind the scene montage of like the F1 movie was amazing. Um, I'm excited to watch that movie. I think yeah, I'm excited to like have to watch some of these fun cameos that we are going to see of current F1 drivers, because of how much we have known that shooting took place in terms of races, and they did list out all the tracks and we almost got all the big ones. And um there was like a track walk scene of them going on spa and everything. It was good. It was like I'm genuinely excited to watch this movie whenever it comes. Now to like going to the presentation. Now kicks out were very basic. I think everybody knew that this year does not matter. It is all about 2026 when we become Audi. But it was good to see Maria Benotto back. Williams was, I thought James Halls would just start nerding out because he's the one who started the presentation. And their driver lineup is, I would say, is I'm excited for that driver lineup. I like both Carlos and Alex Albon. I think this is the year where we actually find out if Alex Albon is good enough. Because we saw what Franco Colapinto did when he came in after Logan Sargent. Yeah. And yeah, so this I am excited to watch. Visa Cash App. I love how their entire presentation was focused on the fact that they have had this fucking renaming saga over and over. Like, what has gone on year on year on year. And their livery also, if that is actually the livery they are going to have throughout the season, was the most interesting one. I think reminded me of a special livery that Red Bull did. I'm forgetting which year they did it for, but it was a white livery, and I think it was after Checo got into the team. I don't think it was, or it was maybe Daniel's last year. I don't remember, but yeah, it was one. It resembled that livery. I thought it was very interesting. It was that livery was, I would say, the most drastically different one than last year. Haas's launch was so arrogantly American that I cannot even put it into words. It's just like, we are here to compete. We are American. This is what it means to be American. Yeah, like, oh, very, very American. Um, the best part of that presentation was Ollie Behrman. I think he's the rookie I'm rooting for the most. Alpine was meh. I'm just glad that the blue and pink is back. I think last year, for weight saving purposes, they literally got rid of all the blue and it was just pink and carbon. So maybe they do the exact same thing this year also. They just had like pink and blue for the launch, and maybe they just do preseason testing with that livery. You never know with Alpine. Aston Martin launch was very 007 themey, of course. an old-timey movie filter and very James Bond-esque badass re-happening, and they're like missile launching, and then there's a deviation. They just avoid getting into a crash, and then there was an animation on their Lama legacy, and I think the storyboard for this launch presentation was definitely okayed by Lawrence Stroll. And the surprising thing was, how I was waiting for Lance Stroll to say something that he might think is funny, but makes everybody else uncomfortable. It just highlights the fact that he's not had as much success as one would assume a driver would get if he has stayed in the sport for this long. But I think he was very well trained for this one. I think they made sure he stuck to the script. um Mercedes was the most corporate presentation ever, but what I was surprised about was they did not use anything related to Lewis Hamilton in their presentation. Of course, he's left the team and everything, except the 2016 Spain crash footage between him and Nico Rosberg. Like, what? Sour grapes? Still, maybe. I don't know. They did a slow ass pit stop on the car. I literally do not know why. But the silver arrow crown car is still black. At least the back. The front was still silver. It actually did look like a silver arrow. Hmm, cute. The best part about Mercedes launch was, in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer slash Philosopher's Stone, when Harry reaches, um, when Harry reaches Hogwarts for the first time, and McGonagall takes them to the Great Hall, and Harry's just like looking around and being like, "What the fuck is this?" That was Kimmy Antonelli. He's such a kid. He's such a cute kid. Like, and he literally looked starstruck. I mean, of course, he's 17. This is his rookie season in Formula 1. But like, of course, maybe I don't know if Mercedes is going to have another launch or not, but the first time that you're coming out to the world as a Mercedes driver is at an event like this. I can understand. It was so cute. Kimi Antonelli. Ah, the best part about Mercedes team now, I would say, is Kimi Antonelli. But I mean, as much as I hate Toto Wolff, he still looks very fresh in his suit. He's aging like fine wine, that man. Ah. Georgie made a joke, wasn't funny. I should just leave it to the pros. I'm I'm going to not be happy with anything that George does. I hate Mercedes now. I've seen enough of their shenanigans last year, and I'm very happy that Lewis is not with that team anymore. So now is the, I would say, the best part of the hosting, okay? Because of course they had to do it, and they did it very cleverly. The entire swearing saga, okay? I have, I mean, I don't know if I've posted it on YouTube or not, but at least on Instagram I have posted that. I find the entire thing very ludicrous. Okay, so Jack Whitehall goes up to Gordon Ramsay, the famous potty mouth of the chefery world, and he asks him this question about what does he think about um, the swearing ban and everything. And Gordon Ramsay, like any other rational adult, would be like, when you're going at when there's so much adrenaline, there's so much excitement, when you're going at such high speeds, let them be real. Do not ask them to like censor themselves, because it does not make any sense. Which, totally agree, 100% understand the sentiment. And then they did that montage of the drivers being drivers just behind the scene and all of that. And I think a very clever way to highlight the fact that every human being is going to come with the good, the bad, and the ugly. and you cannot just cherry pick what these drivers are going to show to the world. I understand the need to be good role models for younger audience that are going to watch the sport, because it is becoming so popular. There are a couple of things I want to say to that. First, parents, be responsible for your kids. Be aware of what they're watching, especially if they are live events. Of course, you're going to have to do that. The kids, right? Second, I do not think that the swearing in Formula One is so much that you need to be this concerned about it. Third, don't broadcast messages that have swearing in it. I'm sure without swearing, there are enough radio messages that you can broadcast. You are already beeping it. So, and even in the like the caption that comes on the 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 telecast, oh my god, please forgive me, it is 4:30 in the night. So the even the captions of the radio messages that come on the broadcast, they are starred like they know it's a swear word. You just don't know how many words there are. Just use a random number of swear words, or just use one star to just indicate that there is a swear word there. So if you don't give the number of blanks in the swear word, kids might not be able to. Fifth, I think they're kids. They have internet, and they are going to learn swearing anyways. So you're not doing the world any favor. I would rather they learn it from here than like other corners of the internet. And sixth, if you're this concerned, popularize F1 Kids. You already have a broadcast where kids are the ones doing commentary. None of these radio messages are part of that broadcast and everything. Popularize that. If you are that concerned about young kids, impressionable kids becoming like sailor have a sailor's vocabulary by watching Formula One, popular, you already have a product that is suited to this. I don't know from where it has come, this need to keep the sport, you know like a good watch for kids, which I think is absolutely ludicrous. Being a good role model is also like, it is also important to show the fact that there are going to be times in life when you're going to be sad, angry, disappointed, frustrated, and you are going to lash out, and you might use words that might be considered bad and everything, and that it is fine. It is fine. It is part of life. You're not going to be ideal all the time. You're not going to be perfect all the time. So like, human experience is not about being perfect. So stop expecting these drivers to be perfect. Okay, that's enough on the swearing saga. Now, I don't want to talk about McLaren was okay. Like, yeah, we saw like they are the constructor champions, but oh, yeah, okay. So McLaren. I just jumped to McLaren, but yeah, I don't have much to add about McLaren. One, I do not like the team. Two, it was just after the Ferrari launch, and I mean, I'm a Ferrari girl now, so that is the only one that I cared about. But before we get to Ferrari, the Red Bull Racing, I think what is true about Red Bull Racing is what was clearly visible in their presentation is that they are Max Verstappen Racing, which, I mean, I'm nothing against them. Max has earned it 100%. Um, in their initial montage, it was like M4X after his four world championship, a Rolling Stone song because it was Dimitri's favorite, and yeah, when Max and Liam, their entire video that started, I did not, it was like the Red Bull racing truck with the car is coming to O2 Arena, and it's like just random people who are getting informations, like their friends or acquaintances have seen that the Red Bull truck is going, and everybody's like, oh, you need to get here. And I was like, too many guests, Red Bull, but hey, maybe they paid for it. But anyways, so when they when they finally came onto the stage, here is an entire entourage of people, and then Max and Liam. Liam had a very weird Brad Pitty look of like this. His hair was different. I wasn't able to pinpoint as to what or who he looks like, but wasn't my favorite look. But Max, oh bless his heart, he is a driver through and through, and he's waving to the crowd, and his eyes are begging somebody, anybody, even George Russell, to just take him anywhere else. He's like, F this, I don't want to do this. Like, I have to do and put up with this fucking circus of an event. I can't even swear, can't even express myself freely. Like, I just don't want to be here. Just take me anywhere else. Which was funny. I think Max Verstappen, I have done a 180 on him. Some of the racing things, maybe I'm like, oh, Max, can you just change that? But I think Max, the person, I really like him a lot. But now let's talk about the thing that I was waiting for, which is seeing Lewis for the first time in Ferrari Red, and oh my god, every single bit of it was worth it. Worth it, absolutely 100% worth it. There was, of course, a nod to Enzo Ferrari, or as Gen Z might know him as Mesut Ozil. Gen Zs don't know who Mesut Ozil is, but yeah, Enzo Ferrari. There was an entire presentation they did. It was the coolest launch. It could be my Ferrari bias, but I think they did an entire you know, like just animation of how their cars have evolved, and it was a very, like, you could see how air moved, like aerodynamically, how the air was moving from through the car, and different surfaces and everything. I think it was the coolest launch ever. And then Lewis Hamilton in those red overalls. Oh my god. Like, he looked so happy. And the presenter asked them one word on to describe what to expect or what he's feeling about the season, and he said invigorating, because of course he was sad at Mercedes because they were being pieces of shit to him. So I'm like really, really, really very excited for this season to start. Honestly, like, Liverpool has been so amazing this year, and I hope it continues. I don't want to jinx it, but like, I genuinely forgot, and I literally, this event was, I think, the perfect way for me to remember that I love F1, and that there are a lot of storylines this season that will be exciting. Of course, it's the first season before the new reg changes of 2026, before Audi comes. There are five rookies who are making their debut this season. There's Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari. There is a potential that if Ferrari and Red Bull and Mercedes and McLaren continue their trajectory of last year into this season. Like, it was so close in last season, so we really do have the opportunity to witness a proper driver championship fight and constructor championship fight. And I think, yeah, this event was a perfect way to kind of, at least for me, to remember that yes, Formula One is back, and that yeah, there's just so much to it. In the end, also they had this entire thing of what the different storylines are this season. And yes, very well managed. I do not think it was too long. It was close to around 2 hours, but at no point did I think that this is being dragged on, even when I was not really invested in the music performances that were happening. So yeah, that's it. Those are my thoughts on on this launch event. I think it was amazing. And yeah, hopefully we are good. So every season we usually start with 100%. We always do our season predictions. I don't remember if we do a livery reaction or anything, but at least from what the liveries were, what I've seen is they're more or less similar to last year's. I'm not sure if we're going to do like a livery episode, but hopefully soon we'll be able to find. We're just trying to find a time where all of us can meet and do our F1 season predictions. And yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you watch the event? What did you think? Which team are you rooting for? What are you most excited about this season? And which rookie do you think is going to perform the best this season? We're going to be back with Formula One content sooner rather than later, but I can't make any promises because we're trying to find a time where we can record that episode. But until then, bye, good night.